What's up, guys? Straight from the chest. My name is Justin Groth. Guys, I want to thank you for listening to me on this beautiful day in this podcast. Guys, I am so fortunate that you guys listen to me and you guys just take your time and give it to me. It means a lot to me. So again, welcome if I haven't said it yet. For those of you who have been listening to me for any length of time, I am very, very appreciative of YouTube, man. It does mean a lot to me, and I'm always going to say it because I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for any opportunity that I have to speak to anybody, and that's real. I mean, that's 1,000% how I feel. So again, if this message hits one person home, man, I'm doing my job. And by job, I mean with what I'm passionate about. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. It does mean a lot to me. Guys, there's something that I really want to talk on, and this is something that I need you all to listen to me with, because this is going to be applicable to every single person in their life. I don't care what stage you're in right now. I don't care if you're happy, if you're not happy. I need you to listen to me with regards to what I'm going to say. Have you ever sat back and really understood why people are so good at what they do? Like, I'm talking about the greats. I'm talking about Michael Jordan. I'm talking about Babe Ruth. I'm talking about, and not just sports, but we can argue that same thing with music, Beethoven. The list goes on. Guys, why are people so great at what they do? Like, why are the greats great? Yes, practice, right? But they've gotten down their own signature. They've gotten that down pat, man. And they're not deviating. And that's the thing. They're in there. You hear people talk about, you got to stay in your lane. Some people have to find their lane. And most of us haven't even found that lane yet. And that can come from us not trying things. That can come from us being fearful of failure. I know you heard all that. I know that Instagram is, producing a bunch of memes that you go on social media, Twitter, people are talking about, well, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And there's all sorts of things like that. Yes, I'm speaking about that, but I'm also speaking on the topic of you being actually content and confident with who you are and really what you're great at, and finding that and signaturizing it. Because really, if you look in retrospect, that's how all of the greats became great. They didn't mirror somebody else. They took hold with what they had an innate affinity for, and they went balls out with that. Now, when I say balls out, that kind of dumbs down the entire element of what I'm trying to speak on. But I am telling you that this is something that you need to take considerably serious if you're ever going to live up to the expectations that you're called to live up to. And that starts with you trying things, probably. Maybe you're at a job right now that you hate. Maybe you're in a career, vocation that you're really not that crazy about, but it produces good and it provides for your family, or it just provides for you. Maybe you're single. The fact of the matter is, if you're not living into your signature, you're not living. And you can argue that living is a much more important topic of discussion than making money. Because even though making money, you need to make money to live, I get it. But if your quality of life and that of something that you're doing every day perpetually and you're spending your time in is not living up to who you were called to be, then you're just half living, if living at all. But a lot of times we don't try new things because we feel like, well, if I try and it's not what I thought it was going to be, I'm going to be mad at myself because I let myself venture into this knowing that it probably wasn't going to be good for me. But so there's going to be the element of you being mad at yourself and regret, right? The regret for wasting the time doing it. But there's also going to be the element of you failing and you being mad about that. But then there's the element that you might like it. And then there's the element that you might actually develop a love for it, an affinity for it, and you might actually take it to another level with. But you don't know that until you actually try. And, this is funny because I once heard Jordan Peterson talk about the fact that kids, when they're young, like infants, when they're trying to speak, they're obviously pronouncing phonemes, and they're pronouncing a bunch of different phonemes in the English language. They don't ever sound out a word, but they start the word with the ba, da, da, da. You know how kids do it. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're hearing adults talk, and they're trying to mirror what they're saying. But at the same time, they don't care that they're doing it badly. They're just doing it. So, and this was profound. And this is what I'm speaking on, guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is profound to understand this. You may start doing something. You're going to think you're going to do it good. Trust you're going to do it horrible. And once you understand that that's your expectation, I'm going to do it horribly, but you're doing it, that's all that matters. Because at least you're progressing forward. And at least you can argue the fact that even if I did it, and I did it so badly and so terribly, at least I now find out what works and what doesn't work. So at least I'm further ahead in that regard. But you're never going to know if you always stand back or question everything and try to get the exact right, equation down, if there was one, before you proceed. And that's the thing that kids have that adults don't have yet. They have the innocence and they have the audacity to just do, because they don't understand judgment. They don't understand failure. They just understand doing. And we become, when we grow older, we become kind of confined to a certain space based on what we choose to believe success is and what we choose to believe our future is going to be. And we confine ourselves to our own little box. It's like we're incarcerated, and we do it to ourselves because we put ourselves in this own little space that we feel like, this is it, man. I got to do this because this is what I want to, this is who I want to be like. And to do this, I have to do this. And all that might work out for some people, but let me tell you this. You have your signature. Just like your signature, when you write that on paper, that's different than anybody else's signature on this planet. Your fingerprint's different than anybody else's fingerprint on this planet. You don't sign your name like anybody else. Isn't that significant to you? So what would make you think you're going to do something like anybody else has done it, even if they're in your same field? The problem is you want to do it like them. That's the problem. You need to do it your own way. You need to put your stamp, your signature on it. If you watch people speak, or if you watch people play games, the thing that makes them great is not the fact that they're, like, if you watch a speaker, if you actually break down and dissect what somebody's saying, it's not exactly what they're saying, it's how they're saying it. And that comes across with their mannerisms, their facial expressions, the tonality in which they say the words, the energy and the passion derived from what they're saying. That's what captivates you. That's what charges you to move in the direction that they're speaking on. It's not just the words. I'd say it has very little to do with the words, and everything encapsulated around the passion and the energy and the tonality and the expressions that they're choosing to express themselves with. That's their signature, though. That's not taught. You understand that? That's something that's innate to them. But see, that's what they gravitate towards. And that's how they choose to bring out themselves. And it just so happens that it captivates you, and it moves you in a direction that you wouldn't have moved to otherwise if you didn't hear them. The same goes for somebody who plays basketball or baseball, like I was referencing earlier with Babe Ruth and with Michael Jordan. I mean, Babe Ruth used to point his bat to the field. That was cocky. But It was also, you can gather, that was also audacious of him to do that. He was telling you, look, man, I'm going to put the ball over there. Who else did that? Who else did that? Nobody. And if people did, it's because they copied him. He was the first one, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you will because I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on this, the first one to ever do that. And it's rightfully so to say that he's the last one to do it because that was his trademark. You have your own signature, your own trademark that you put on something, but you gotta find it first. And if you're not like the child that just starts to pronounce words even though they do it badly, if you have that fear resonating within you and you don't want to do something because you know you're going to do it badly, then I promise you're not going to find your signature. You're not going to find your trademark. And that, to live your life and not experience that, is not a life lived. I'm sorry. It's not a life lived. The signature is important. It's not exactly what you do, it's how you do the thing that you're doing and what signature and trademark you're stamping on it at the same time. That's how you're going to be prominent in your respective space. Do you understand that? You might be a paper pusher for a company that, you just sit behind the desk, but how you treat people when they walk through the door as you're pushing papers, what you wear, your glee, everything encapsulated as your being, that is your signature. That's how people are going to know you. That's how you're going to stand out. Many people can push papers, man. Many people can play basketball. Do you know anybody that played basketball like Michael Jordan? Do you know anybody that played basketball like Shaq and had his signature dunk on the rim, or even Michael Jordan's signature, he fly through the air with his legs spread and just like with his tongue out and everything. That's his signature. He didn't copy that. That came innately, organically to him. Don't suppress your own signature because it doesn't fit with what's already normalcy. That's good that you don't fit in, man. That's good that you're not normal. That's good that you have something different or something off-putting or something even, precarious or whatever. That's good. It's not good to just fit in with the norm. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm also saying that you have your signature. You write your name a certain way. Why don't you conduct your life in that same manner? Why don't you find what it is that you do the absolute best and put your signature on it? That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're trying to find. That's the goal in life, man. But you also can come to a roadblock if you don't choose to start something even for fear that you're going to do it badly. Because who are you? Yes, you're going to do it badly. You're a human being. You suck at most things in life. But you're good at one, at least. You're actually great at one, at least. But you gotta find that, and you gotta put your signature on it. And that should be your goal. That is your goal in life. And you know one thing? That's consistently moving. The world keeps turning. Your goals keep changing just a little bit, or they start to amalgamate into something different. And your goal is to find that signature, but you're also one of the things that is lost in people as well is the perseverance to keep chasing the goal even though it's ever changing, because you're ever evolving, period. But if you don't try, knowing that you're going to do something so horrifically bad the first time, and second and third and fourth probably, but knowing that you're slowly starting to drop what doesn't work and add what works and keep in place what does work. I mean, you're slowly defining yourself. And then you not being scared to add in what comes naturally organic to you being your trademark or your signature. Man, that's what makes a person a person. That's what makes the greats great. It wasn't just because they played the game well. Do you understand? It's because they weren't afraid to put their signature on it. But before that, preceding that, they weren't afraid to do something and try it, even if they sucked at it. But you could gather that the people that I just referenced, they had an innate affinity with the things that they did, with basketball, baseball, if we're talking about Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, for example. They obviously gravitated towards those sports because they knew from the first time that they saw baseball or basketball, they knew that there was something to that. And they couldn't get it out of their minds. They couldn't get it out of their spirits. They couldn't get it out of their guts, man. They thought about it day in and day out. And they played it day in and day out. And they just gravitated towards it. You guys are the same. We're all the same. There is that Babe Ruth or Michael Jordan in you for your respective field, for your respective craft. But you got to actually go out and find it. And you got to actually listen to the things that you have an innate affinity for. And don't discard them or discount them because it's not what somebody else is doing that you look up to. I've said that multiple times. You have to continuously feed that. You have to nurture it and cultivate it because honestly, that could be the mark that you leave on this planet. That attached to your signature in the way that you do that thing. You know, a lot of times, I'll tell you something about me real fast. A lot of times I don't like to listen to a lot of people speak. I don't like to listen to a lot of people or watch a lot of people do things that I enjoy myself, because over time I'll start to develop a natural gravitation towards or a kind of an emulation of how they are, and that's something that is a fear for me, because I don't ever want to emulate somebody so much that I lose myself, my own characteristics or my own charisma. I think it's profitable to learn from others, but I also think that it can be destructive to obsessorize. Is that a word? To obsess yourself around somebody that isn't you. Because you're not ever going to do it like them, and you shouldn't. Because you have your own signature that God placed on your heart. He infused that in your DNA. That's something that you have. And you shouldn't be afraid to bring out your signature, even if it doesn't look like someone else's signature. That's good. And I promise you, your signature is not going to look like anybody else's, as it shouldn't. I don't know why you're trying to make your signature look like someone else's. I don't know why you're trying to amalgamate into somebody else's trademark. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's definitely a rougher road. You're definitely have more of a spotlight on you. People are noticing you more. Maybe they're not liking you as much. Maybe because you're doing something that's a little bit different, they throw shade to you. But you can't concern yourself with that, because your one main concern is bringing out your signature and placing your trademark on the way that you express whatever it is you do, or the way that you do whatever it is you're great at. That needs to be the constant that you follow. That's staying in your lane. Done.